All right. We are on air. So happy March, everybody. It's a new month. Kind of exciting. Today's design meeting, we're just going to do a quick check-in on primarily backdropcms.org, which is our highest priority at the moment. But there's a bunch of other stuff that's kind of related to that too. So, Luke, you've been bearing the brunt of the burden on getting our new homepage and layouts designs cleaned up. Do you want to give a little update?
Anyone know how CSS floats work?
Yeah, we shouldn't be using floats because we've got Flexbox.
Oh. All right. So agenda item number 1 is going to be somebody needs to tell me what Flexbox is, and okay. I'll integrate that. Because I guess to try to catch Mike up and whoever else is listening off in the internet. Jen, as she knows, I've been getting direction from her on how to piece these things together, and I've been slowly incorporating the design and starting to hit metal. Have the footer kind of worked out for most of the sizes, or most of the responsive breakpoints, and starting to assign things in between the sheets and the layouts and stuff like that. But I've really just still, up until now I've been tooling up, and it's only in this last week that I've actually created pieces that will be final code, and getting to sort of design decisions as to where pieces go, and stuff like I should be using Flexbox.
Yeah, so in theory you shouldn't need to think about it too much, because all of that grid system stuff is handled by layouts and core. So you should just have to assign, if you can add a class to it based on what size it should be on which breakpoint. I'm not sure if you've used the Bootstrap grid system before.
I have.
Yeah, it's the same thing, only the Bootstrap grid system in Bootstrap 4 uses Flexbox instead of floats. So it works the same, and so if you can get the names in there, that should solve the problem.
All right, so I have to assign things. I know how it works in Bootstrap, and I need to figure out which version of things that were in there. But I'm familiar with that concept. I'll assign class names to get things to snap into place.
Yeah, and depending on which elements you're working on, where the floats are, if it's not layout related, if it's float the user picture to the left, we are still using floats in some places. But for the grid system and the responsiveness, it should just be a matter of making sure that the footer blocks on the left have the 6 call class on it, and then they'll snap into the 6 columns that the grid system you provide. So if it's medium 6 call, then it'll snap there at medium. So that can be a little tricky because the layouts that we're switching to, the core ones, don't have that in the layout, right? It'll just be 1 column per footer, but our designs have 2 columns in the footer. So how to decide how to handle that, there's a lot of options. You could do it by putting classes in all of the blocks in the layout UI, or you could do it by creating a new custom layout that's a copy of this core layout that has 2 columns in the footer region. And I'm not sure there's necessarily a right or a wrong way to do it. It's just what's going to make the most sense for managing it over time. The next person that's going to have to inherit this from you, are they going to be able to understand?
Right. So actually, I think the number one thing I need to work out is who is the audience that I should kind of check these things with to find out what pieces are already decided and what are the questions that I'm answering. I've been pinging you directly, but I mean there's a larger audience in that, right? Like, how do I reach that?
I mean, the biggest thing is that someone's going to have to
audience.
maintain this in the future, and that someone may have very limited skills. And you know, if it's someone that's just like, oh, I know CSS, and then they have to figure out Backdrop's layout system, I don't know, like, who knows? So yeah, kind of catering to lowest common denominator, which I'm pretty good as far as like CSS is concerned that way, because I'm not a CSS expert, but I'm pretty knowledgeable on backdrop layout stuff, which maybe means my solution would be like, I'm just going to custom code more layouts, where that might not be what I think someone else might want.
Okay. Well, I mean, in terms of audience, should I tack it on to issue 301, or is there like a better, cleaner place for me to?
Is 301 the one where we're talking about the design?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one's got like 8 million comments. I think it'll be confusing to do it there.
Should I make a new issue?
Yeah, create a new issue, and if you need to like mention people to get feedback on it, you can. I won't notice it unless you mention me on it. So if you want my feedback, I would do that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking that we should actually have, more than one new issue, and that we need to try to break up this project into maybe some smaller tasks.
Yeah.
Because I think part of the problem with like Wes's attempt to do it was all just like this one big lift, and it was too big to actually do. So the more we can break up our changes into smaller individual changes, it'll probably be helpful in us getting it done, making progress.
I'm conceptually in favor of that, but I'm not sure how to approach that. Mike, do you want to? Do you want to put together a meta issue, and I could work from there?
I have no idea what's happening with this. So
all right. Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll
feel the same way. I feel like there's so many different pieces of this where it's like, we want a new homepage layout, fine, but in order to do that, we need to fix all the layouts, and that's like a separate thing. And then we need to put in the drop-down menu, and that's a separate thing. And like, they all kind of need to be done together, but they are discrete tasks.
All right.
But I don't know, like, I understand Wes's want to do it all together because they all are stuck together, but I don't, so those would like the three things that I would see. And there's also some things that like can be done independently, like this new footer design, right? Like we could style the footer now and deploy it. It has nothing to do with the rest of the site. There are some.
Well, that was why I carved that one. That seemed like an easy, small thing to start off with, and to ferret out all the process mistakes that I was sure I was going to make, and that with an actual simple task, but just with the process being more complicated, and then smooth out the process things, and then dive into the actual harder, functional stuff.
Well, why don't after this meeting ends, Luke? Why don't you and I spend some time talking about the discrete tasks that we can break it up into,
sure.
and make that meta list of this is what's required.
Sure. I was just going to start an issue, and then we could splinter it later. But if you want to, if you know what the meta issues are off the top of your head, which sounds like you kind of do.
Ballpark ideas, but because you've had like your fingers in the code recently, I don't want to make that list without your input.
Sure.
So I would love it if we could do that today.
All right. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
After the dev meeting?
After this meeting, between now and the dev meeting, if that's okay.
Great. Nicely time boxed.
Yeah. Okay. So other stuff we're working on backedupcms.org. We flushed out the content type for showcases. So if anyone has any sites they've built in Backdrop and want to put them in there, that is ready for collecting content. The forum is the next most exciting piece, which is relevant to design, because what I was thinking we would do is take this new theme when we're done with the homepage that will be the one column one with the drop-down navigation, and put that on the forum site as kind of a nice starting point. We could use it as a base theme if we wanted. And then from there, we would just need to look at styles for all of the forum specific elements, like the listings of forum topics, the individual conversations with comment threads, and making sure that all of our flags, since we're using flags for everything, don't necessarily look like flags. They need to look like what people expect them to. So like the follow thing and the mark as inappropriate or whatever should have specific styling. Stop. So we'll need some design direction on that as well as someone to implement. But for now, I think we're fine with forums using like Bartik and Black. So I think that's fine for now. But when we do get done with backdropcms.org, I think that would be a great kind of template thing we can throw on all of our other sites too. Okay, so outreach stuff. I don't know if this belongs in the design meeting, but I had a great meeting with the outreach folks last week, and they came up with content strategy documentation on like the kinds of content we should be producing on our website and how and who should make it. And there's some stuff in there that we could definitely use feedback on. So if either of you guys want to look at that content strategy map, it's in the backdropcms.org queue. Some of those things will need design, but most of them are just like write a blog post or publish a video, and trying to help us come up with a strategy for newsletter content that fits in with the bigger picture. So we also talked about business cards and stickers. Those two issues don't have any updates, but they are in the backdropcms.org queue if you want to take a look there. Oh, I was also thinking once we get our forum up and running, it might be a good idea to move our outreach to-do list to the forum. Maybe it's not really to-do list place, but I was thinking that might be something that would be easier for people who are interested in outreach in using than GitHub. So just an idea, I guess. All right, so we don't have any other updates for outreach related stuff. Backdrop the product, next version 1.7. We've got a couple of significant improvements going into layouts, and I think we're going to need some user interface sanity checks on the new features we're adding to make sure that our interface is still intuitive with all of the new features for it. So if you're interested in that, that's coming up. But that's it otherwise for today's meeting. So anything you guys want to talk about in particular today?
Not in addition to the stuff that we've already talked about.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then why don't we stop the recording and then jump into splitting that homepage issue into something a little less massive. I think that might help your process, Luke, too. It'll definitely help mine. Like if I have some time and can jump in, I kind of feel like that issue itself is too big and I can't get anywhere on it. But if there was a little tiny task I could grab and fix, then I could help.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's do that now then. Do you have anything else you want to add, Mike? Thank you for coming. Thank you for the good idea on splitting the issue. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the podcast and don't go anywhere, Luke. Here we go.